If you're on the LSC and I have not unmuted you, or you cannot unmute yourself, please chat something in the chat. Okay.
Madam Chair, question.
Yes,
If we mute ourselves, then we cannot unmute ourselves. Is that what I'm understanding?
I'm not sure. Can you try that right now?
Sure.
Okay. So let me see if I can. Yeah, I'm gonna have to make you. I'm gonna have to unmute you every time if you mute
Sure.
yourself. Okay. And Jenny, I'm gonna unmute you. Okay. I feel like we're missing somebody in the LSC though. Who do we have? Who's missing?
Liam is the only person missing, it seems, but Liam has graduated.
Okay, then we're good. All right, and we are officially at 100 people. Okay, we'll get started. Calling the meeting to order at 6:05. And Ms. Keeling, do you want to do a quick roll call for the LSC?
Absolutely. Anita Bernacki,
Can't hear you, Anita, even though you are unmuted. No. Okay. Oh, you remuted yourself. Okay. Got it. All right. Chris is unmuted. Okay. So.
start again.
Yeah, go ahead. I think Anita might have to. Oh, here she is down here. All right. I unmuted you, Anita.
Okay. Anita Bernacki,
Nope. Can't hear you.
I saw her. Does that count?
Yeah, it counts, but I just want to
Okay.
make sure she can. There she is. I can
There
hear
she
you
is.
now. You just have to speak up, I think. Okay.
Okay. Goran Davidovak,
Present.
Chrissy Estrada,
Here.
Kathy Fern,
Here.
Chad Nishibayashi,
Here.
Marianne Villasenor,
Here.
Chris Raguso,
Here.
Laura Keeling, and I am here. Maria McDormand,
Here.
Mark Gershaber,
Oh, he might be muted.
He's
Hold on.
muted.
Where is he? Oh, here we go. Okay, Mark, try unmuting yourself now. Okay, there we go.
and we have Mary Kay Cobb and Monica Moore are missing. Madam Chairperson, we have a quorum.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for your interest in participating in the Taft LSC Open Forum to discuss retaining or removing the school resource officers, or SROs, from the freshman and varsity Taft campuses. We're going to keep you on mute for the entire meeting. I will unmute you if it is your opportunity to speak. And this meeting is being recorded per CPS guidelines. As we are all aware, this is a very emotional, hot button issue. I ask that everyone keep your comments based on facts as much as possible and to keep the discussion civil and polite. Note that if you sent an email to the Taft LSC, that email was shared with them. If you sent resources for the Taft LSC to read, that information was also shared with them. We're holding this meeting open for 2 hours to hear as much discussion as possible. I apologize if we can't get to everyone. Hopefully a speaker that shares your opinion will get to speak. I would hope that before you comment, you have informed yourself on all sides of the issue, are not just reacting emotionally, and you are basing your opinions on facts. This is not a meeting to prove you are right and everyone else is wrong. This is an open forum for everyone to express their opinions in a concise and factual manner. And if you do so, you may even sway someone to see your side of the issue. If things get heated, I'm going to stop the discussion by muting everyone. We'll all take a breath and then we can continue. I reserve the right to remove anyone who is uncooperative from the meeting. Remember that all the LSC members are volunteering their time to be on this council. We are hosting this meeting as a service to the community, even though we could vote without any discussion. And we are all here to work together to make the best decisions we can to support the students, teachers, parents, staff, and community of Taft High School. I believe everyone here has the same intention to support the students. so please be nice. To put this in perspective, last year's vote on the SROs was not a fully informed vote. We were given no context as to why we were voting on this issue. Also, I would like to point out that the LSC does not have as much power as some of you may think we do. Our main tasks are to approve budgetary items and choose and evaluate the principal. Just my personal opinion, but I feel that CPS is passing the buck on this inflammatory issue to the LSCs. For example, if we really had power, we would have been able to vote out Aramark from their citywide contract years ago. We have tons of experience with that issue, and we've heard about their deficiencies weekly. Just saying. So this is a vote on whether Taft should keep the currently assigned Taft officers, 2 per campus, not whether CPS should keep their current contract with CPD. Our vote is just a drop in the bucket. If you feel extremely passionate about this issue, please follow up with CPS. Take note that CPS will be holding their own citywide vote on the CPD contract later in August, and that decision can change whatever we decide. For example, if we decide to keep the SROs and CPS ends their contract, we will no longer have SROs. Also note that if we vote one way today and decide in a few months that we'd like to revisit the topic and vote again, we can also do that. And if the Taft LSC votes to remove the SROs, it does not mean we dislike the police. If we vote to keep the SROs, it does not mean we believe that police officers in schools can't have a negative effect on students. This is a very complicated issue with many factors to consider, and we are all doing our best. I'd also like to point out that any money that is saved by removing the SROs from the schools is not guaranteed to go toward hiring more counselors, nurses, librarians, all things that I think we can all agree are desperately needed. If you'd like to speak during the public participation portion of the meeting, please put your name and representation, for example, you are a teacher, a parent, a community member, in the chat box, and we will call on you in the order it is logged. You can also put your comments there even if you do not wish to be called upon. All comments will be limited to 2 minutes with a 10-second bell warning. And I will just cut you off at 2 minutes because we have a lot of people that are going to want to speak. The LSC may or may not comment on your comments. It doesn't mean we agree or disagree, and all comments will be saved. As an aside, I hope we get as much engagement regarding whether kids should physically be in the classroom in the fall. The LSC will not be taking a vote on this issue today. We will schedule another date before August 14th, which will be publicized and open to the public to vote. And now I'd like to pass it over to Jenny Greenblatt to present survey results that were taken from the students, parents, and teachers, 3 separate surveys. I'll go ahead and share my screen. 1 second. I neglected to open the document first. Hold on. There we go. Okay.
It's just like preference, so you can like refer to when I'm giving my 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
All
right,
right. So hi everyone, my name is Tree. I'm here as an alumni of Taft High School, class of 2020, and a community resource officer as known as SRO at William Howard Taft High School, class of 2020 and class of 2021 academic year and beyond. Moreover, I am not only speaking for myself today, but I'm also speaking on behalf of 629 students, educators, alumnus, and community members who have signed a change.org petition that I have created in full support of the removal of the SRO at Taft as of 6 p.m. today. Hispanic Black students were arrested specifically at Taft in 2015, despite the fact that Black students only make up 2.2% of the student population. This number in hindsight might not highlight the extreme impact and biases toward Black students, but when you dig deeper into the data collection, the overall percentage of all students who were arrested at Taft in 2015 was 0.5%, in which Black students disproportionately make up a quarter of that percentage. And to put in simpler terms for future outlook, 1 in 4 Black students with disability will get arrested during the academic career at Taft if SRO are to retain in school. And these encounters with the police in school are not isolated events in the student's life. Instead, these disproportionately administered disciplinary actions in constituting one step closer to the school to prison pipeline. I encourage you to read the 34 pages of CPS alumni testimonials that outline the countless examples of sexual harassment, unchecked use of force, and racial profiling of SROs. And I found the survey was not the representative of the student whole population, where only 120 self-selecting students could have given their feedbacks. And yes, like I know what's on everyone's mind. How are we going to stay protected?
I'm so sorry. I did have to mute you. Your 2 minutes are up. I have to keep within a schedule. So thank you so much for your comments. Is there any follow-up questions from the LSC?
I just want to say thank you for your letter to us. Very informative, and I see you put a lot of effort into this, and thank you. Really, you've put a lot of effort in your letter, and it's appreciated on our end. And I did take the opportunity to look it over and read it, and I think most of the links that you sent. Thank you.
Great.
Yes, thank you so very much, Tree. It was wonderful to receive your email. It really was. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to Kirsten Roberts, who is a parent. I just need to find you on this screen here. Give me a second.
Ms. Fern, Madam Chair,
Yes.
one last question.
Yes.
On that change.org petition that has 616 people signed, how many of those people can you attribute to Taft High School directly?
I'm gonna unmute Tree.
Right. So this seems to be a very general survey. I'd like just to know, can you gather data knowing that these are people from either within our boundaries, or is this just a general change.org petition?
Yeah, so initially I shared this on my Instagram account, which most students follow. And I can generate a list of the students who have signed it and send it to the LSC.
Just more curious than anything. It'd be a little bit more informative. Would you agree, Council?
I would agree.
Yes.
I would agree.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's all, Madam Chair.
Next, we're gonna go to Kirsten Roberts. There you are right there.
Kathy, real quick,
Yes,
is there a way that maybe Mr. G can summarize quickly what are the duties of the SROs? Somebody's, I think, asking in your comments over here too.
okay. I actually have a document about that. One second. How many SROs are at Taft? We have a total of 4, and they're at the freshman academy, 2 are at the freshman academy, 2 are at the varsity company. They work from 8 till 4. Actual expenses for the SROs, it does not come out of the Taft budget. It's paid for by CPS. What has been their student activity to date? Have they had encounters with students, and if so, what? All 4 of our SROs are excellent police officers. In the last 2 years, I have not had one complaint against any of our SROs. They understand and practice restorative justice. This is from the principal, by the way, Mr. Krishaber. How do they fill their time? What do they actually do? Our SROs occasionally patrol outside our building during the school day. They walk around our campus during the day, building relationships and rapport with our student body. After school, they help us at potential hotspots like the gas station or Norwood Park. And then this is from the actual CPS guidelines of what is a school resource officer. School resource officers will provide valuable resources to school staff members, foster positive relationships with students, develop strategies to resolve problems affecting students, and protect all students. Department members who are seeking selection to work as a school resource officer must demonstrate a commitment to working with Chicago Public Schools to enforce the law, protect students, employees, guests, property, and the school community. Be a sworn department member below the rank of sergeant, maintain full duty status, have a minimum of 3 years continuous service or at least 2 years continuous service with written justification for the assignment, have an acceptable medical roll, disciplinary history, and attendance record. Have received performance ratings above the minimum rating score necessary to qualify. I'm going to try to consolidate a little bit here for at least the last 2 evaluations. Training is previous experience working with youth in a learning environment, such as coaching a youth league or a youth group leader. Current district level field experience, including demonstrating a working knowledge of department directives, juvenile law, Chicago Public Schools Student Code of Conduct Manual, quality report writing skills, effective communication, bilingual, ability to problem solve in a team environment. And then department members, ability to work safely, effectively, and build positive relationships with students, parents, guardians, and school personnel. Department members who have been selected to work as school resource officers and SRO supervisors will receive specialized initial and annual refresher training, including but not limited to school-based legal topics, child sex crimes and abuse preliminary investigations, cultural competency, problem solving, de-escalation techniques, use of restorative approaches, including the available community resources and alternative response options, childhood and adolescent development, crisis intervention, disability and special education issues, strategies that create respectful and positive interactions with students, including but not limited to student groups with limited English proficiency, who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning and intersex, or experiencing homelessness. They also will have response options for school safety threats, and again, know with the Chicago Public Schools Student Code of Conduct Manual. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Kathy.
Okay. Here. All right, now we will hear from Kirsten Roberts.
Hello, thank you so much. My child, our Katie Kosuth, is a rising 7th grader. So I was not able to fill out the survey, and neither were they. If we had filled it out, we would have opposed having SROs at Taft. I was one of the signers of, I hope I say your name right, Trey's petition. And I strongly believe that the description that you just read from the Chicago Public Schools, although are very nice words, are actually not the things that police officers are trained to do. And we need to understand that our kids need support, they need restorative justice, they need social workers, and all of the things that I know you're not empowered to hire for. But I think the message that we're sending to our children, and particularly to our Black and brown children and our children with special needs, when we have armed officers in our public schools, we're sending a message that our children are threats instead of part of the solution and part of helping us to make a better world. And so I really think it sends the wrong message. I do think it's the incorrect allocation of resources. And I am really shocked by the data that Trey just shared with us. If 1 in 4 Black children or young people with an IEP can expect to have an arrest, there's something wrong in our school that we need to fix. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts. Okay. Any follow-up questions from the LSC? All right. Next, we will hear from Jorge Martinez, teacher. Let me find you. Are you Jorge's iPhone? Nod your head. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Hi, I'm George Martinez. I am an alumnus. I graduated in 2014 from Taft High School. I am a community member, and I'm also a current math teacher at Taft. I just finished my first year teaching at the varsity campus, and I'm participating in this LSC meeting to show my support of SROs in school. I personally feel Taft High School benefits from having police officers during school for safety. I understand there's a lot of data and a lot of emotions going on in this time of the world because of what's been happening. But it's important that we cannot pass judgment on all police officers because of the injustices of a few. So I feel personally, when I started my time at Taft, my first year as a teacher, my biggest concern was the safety, because the security system, I think, was a little inconsistent with how students entered the building. When I was in high school, everyone was scanned using a metal detector. Everyone is saying, and that from what I've heard and what I've seen, that is not the case now. So the possibility of students entering with a weapon or anything of such sorts, really, for me, when I was starting out, really frightened me. So to have SROs in the building to ensure that something doesn't happen, like an incident like Sandy Hook, that can be prevented with SROs in the building. Also, I also feel that SROs, I know I'm talking about feelings, but it's a fact that we live in a community. Taft High School is a community that's with a lot of cops and whose students, whose parents. We have a lot of students whose parents are police officers as well. So I think it's important that we have and we support SROs. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we will hear from Cody Dominic. Okay, you're unmuted.
Hello, so my name is Cody Dominic and I'm a graduate of the Taft IB class of 2018. I'm currently a junior in engineering physics with a minor in mathematics at the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. I'm a community organizer and I have been. I organized I organized one of the actions that occurred my senior year of high school, actually, here at Taft High School, where we protested against violence in the wake of the Parkland school shooting. I organized that because for me, it's very important to protect marginalized people, particularly students of color, Black, Indigenous students and other students of color, transgender students and other LGBT identifying students, and other students that are greatly harmed by violence in our society, and teachers that are harmed by violence in our society. And when we are looking for people to be protected, we can't ask it's been clear we can't ask the police to do that anymore. These communities have, after decades of police attacking these communities have lost their trust with the police. There's no trust between the police and these marginalized communities. And if we want to do our role to protect students and teachers, in particular these students and teachers, we can't have SRO officers in school. When I was at Taft, there were many instances where the police did seem to disproportionately target students of color. For instance, the gas station is how I got, so standing at the Citgo gas station was how I got home from school. There was an instance my senior year when the police got involved with the students and ended up arresting the students, and some of the students were feeling that felt that they got targeted by the police, because yes, while there may statistically be more violence at that gas station, there are also at that gas station a disproportionate amount of students of color that wait for the bus.
Sorry, Cody, your time was up. Thank you so much. I do have a question in the chat. Does removing SROs mean there are no security guards? No, there are only 2 police officers at each campus. There's a multitude of security officers, I believe. LSC, correct me if I'm wrong, 14 at each campus, something along those lines. Maybe I can mute Mr. G if you can.
Are you asking how many we have at each campus?
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Gershaber, you can unmute yourself.
This phone, I believe we have 14 altogether.
14 altogether, okay. And are they divided evenly, or is there more at one or the other?
No, Kat, what's the exact number on each one?
Let me find Kat, hold on.
She says 5.
There's 9 at the first
academy.
Yeah, and 5 at the freshman academy. 9 at
9
varsity.
9 at varsity. Who is a parent? Let me find you right here. Okay, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you very much. I'm both a parent of an incoming freshman and also a former detective, Chicago Police Department retired. I've handled numerous cases with CPS, and if it wasn't for SROs, people could have been hurt much more serious than they were. These crimes range from a theft of 80 computers at a high school, a 44 Magnum being removed at Whitney Young, numerous violent crimes to both students on students as well as batteries to teachers. Again, none of these cases, many of them had been minimized as far as both damage and violence done by the presence of the SROs. Additionally, in some cases, it's mentioned in some of these comments that could the police be called? Sure, they could be called, but again, with an SRO there, he can neutralize the situation oftentimes before it escalates to something worse. Additionally, the SROs know the students involved. They know how to get a response on one student or the other. A police officer arriving on the scene has no idea the players involved. So again, we speak of restorative justice. It can't happen really if he doesn't know the players involved. In regard to the data, in regards to one out of four, I believe it was black students as far as with IEPs arrested for some crime or the other at Taft, without knowing what those are, it's sort of meaningless data, okay? Additionally, with looking at a so-called marginalized group, you don't look at it as far as statistics with only the population. What are the population numbers in regard to crime? Again, I could elaborate, but if you're going to throw out numbers like that, let's see exactly what the situation was, not how somebody felt or.
I'm sorry, I had to mute you. Your two minutes are up. Thank you so much. Okay. And I won't keep asking. If anyone in the LSC has follow-up questions, just please speak up. Okay. Next, we will hear from, again, if you would like to make a comment, please put your name in the chat with the representation of where you are from, student, teacher, community, staff. Dan Pan is next. Let me find you. I do not see you. Are you still on? Hang on. He's still here. I just don't see you. Hold on. I thought I put it in alphabetical order, but I guess not. Sorry. Dan, are you, if you're still on, please say something in the chat and tell me what your name is popping up as, because I do not. I'm on, okay. I'm so sorry, I don't see you.
Kathy, he has a picture on his, it's like a little girl in a snowsuit. She's cute.
Okay.
If that helps.
Oh, there he is. Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. All right, Dan, you're on.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm the father of an incoming student, and I just wanted to say that I know we get a lot of news. We see a lot of news about a lot of bad things that happen, and it's not just police. But I want to say that a police officer is a person, and just like any person, there are good people and there are bad people. There are people that make good choices and bad choices. It seems to me that a few people that have made some bad choices have come to somehow represent an entire department or an entire city or an entire government. And that just isn't the case. I would say, ask your teacher, someone you trust, how police officers have dealt with their children in situations. I know for a fact that officers are often the outcry witness in cases of abuse and deal with some things in a very unique position. And what is not gauged, what is not tracked, is the influence they have to help people that are going in the wrong direction go in the right direction. There are no studies on that. There are no news stories on that. There are no GoFundMe pages on that. But I promise you that those officers exist and they are in abundance. That's all I got.
Thank you very much. Where did you go? You must have went to the front. There you are. Okay. Thank you. All right. All right. Just so everybody's aware, this meeting is limited to 100 participants because of the Zoom software that we're using that was recommended by CPS. They also recommended we could use a Google Meets, which also has a 100-person limit. So as people are dropping out, and I'm admitting them back in, so as soon as we hit 100, then you can't wait. But right now it's at 98. I'm just trying to get everybody in there and do a bunch of things at once. So okay, that was Dan. Next, we will hear from, I want to say your name right, Leon Nazal. And let me unmute you. And I believe you are also running for student rep for the LSC in September. So welcome.
Yes. Hi, my name is Leanne. I'm an uprising junior. I work with SAC for CPS. So I just wanted to talk about, this is not about individual police officers. This is about systematic racism to start off with. And I want to give you a few statistics. There's actually no evidence showing that expanding law enforcement by adding SROs actually results in safer schools. That's from the Justice Policy Institute, NPR, New America, and a June 2013 Congressional Research Service that was done. In Parkland and in Columbine, there were SROs officers, nearby police officers, that still did not intervene when the school shooting was happening, and that's because they didn't have to. And most statistics show that SROs in schools actually, with massive school shootings, end up not intervening for the most part, because school shootings end up happening this way. Normally, the person ends up getting killed, they neutralize the situation, or the school shooter ends up killing himself. So this is not about individual police officers. This is about Black, Indigenous, and people of color always being marginalized by police system. This system was not built for people like me, for people like us. And it's not about the police officers that are good or bad. It's not about the police officers, period. It's about the systematic racism and oppression that Black students face. And like Tree stated before, 1 in 4 Black students end up going to prison later on. And how is that fair? Just because it doesn't affect ourselves, why is it that we can't watch out for other people? And I just want to give you other stats. This is also, it's a really bad idea to keep SROs in school because it's a school to prison pipeline. Like Tree explained earlier, you're criminalizing teenage behavior, and then this results in interaction with the police and themselves.
Thank you, Leanne. Okay.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
I'm just curious. We're talking about all these large topics, and I've read being on the LSC, and I appreciate everything that everyone is saying. A lot of the statistics come from, CPS is huge. What happens at Taft doesn't happen at other schools. What happens at other schools doesn't happen at Taft. Leanne, I'm curious, systematic racism. Have you seen anything from our SRO officers that Taft specifically has had a massive issue, let's just say last year or since you've been at Taft? I'm curious.
No, but it shouldn't just be about Taft. It shouldn't just be about Taft. That's the issue. It's a bigger problem that you, by doing this, are solely solving. It's not just about Taft. It shouldn't be just about Taft.
Thank you so
That's
very
not the
much.
goal.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we'll hear from Brian Wilson, teacher at Taft. Okay. Oh, wait. There you go.
Okay, thank you. I am a teacher in about 8, 9, 10 years in at Taft, currently teaching drama at the Freshman Academy. Prior to that, I was at the varsity campus for a number of years teaching English and then drama, and often both. I'm also a parent of a rising 7th grader. Just as a couple of other entering students, I did not get surveys for that. As a parent, I did not get a survey, although I did certainly participate in the staff survey. One of the things that's interesting about Taft is its diversity of students, and it's growing more diverse. We take a look at the schools that were added as feeder schools with the opening of the Freshman Academy, Bridge, Canty, and Deaver. All of them have more Hispanic students or Latinx students than what Taft currently has, at least as a percentage of their school population. And as well as Smizer, that's partial attendance boundary with ours. So we can expect that as our population continues to grow, a lot more of the new students that are joining us are part of, more students that are becoming part of the student body who are representing underrepresented groups, non-white students, if you will. And it's important that we are making sure that we are keeping a welcoming environment. It is clear, the data shows 95% of all students affected by arrests have been people of color. So we need to really look at that. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we will hear from Prasad Kumar, a parent. Let me find you. And I do not see you. If you're still here, can you please say something in the chat? Looks like he's gone. Okay. Next, we will hear from Bridget Doherty. Doherty Trebbing. I'm sorry, I always mess up your name. Let me find you. I know you're in the front here somewhere. There you are. Okay. Doherty Trebbing. Okay, there you go.
Hi, my name is Bridget Doherty Trebbing. I'm an art teacher at Taft High School, and I've been at Taft High School now for 20 years. So, I see in this call actually a lot of faces of students, former students, parents of my students. So I feel like I do know our school community very well, and I can speak with some facts. So the facts that I can tell you about being a teacher at Taft High School is I have never had an experience as a teacher at Taft where I needed to call for support from a police officer. Not once in 20 years, but I certainly have, worked with our security guards on occasion with issues where I needed a security guard, and we have a very large force of security guards at our school. I've worked with the counselors, I've worked with our social workers. So these are the folks that I have gone to and I have needed support. So I think that's really important. And then, I don't want to reiterate what other folks have already said, and I have already shared my thoughts on this with the members of the LSC prior to this meeting. So I'm not going to repeat those things, but I also think it's really important as a teacher. My whole job is to teach and support students. So I am also here to amplify the voices of the students that are speaking here, that are speaking out in other ways. Because again, I think that's my whole job as an educator, is to support and to listen to them. And I think that we as a school community really need to rethink this idea of what we mean when we say safety. Like, I genuinely am slightly perplexed that to hear that so many people are worried about safety when they're at Taft. Like, I don't quite understand what that is. Like, I work at that school and I don't know what we mean by worried about safety.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
There's some people asking in the chat, just for clarification on how do they get on the list to be able to speak.
If you would like to speak, please put your name and your representation in the chat. Are you a parent, a student, an alumni, etc.?
I hope that helps.
Thank you. I'm having to try to do a lot of things here. Okay, I just want to go back up to, there's Sonia. All right. So next we'll hear from Sonia Moore, a parent. Let me find her. Sonia, are you just Sonia? I'll just unmute you. Nope. Sonia?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, are you the right person?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Sonia Moore, I'm a parent of an incoming freshman.
Okay.
And I basically joined this meeting to kind of understand what's going on. I don't have any facts. And I know that's what you asked for at the very beginning. So I'm not really going to give my personal opinion because I want to stay in line with the agenda and what is being requested. But it's interesting, and I see both viewpoints, and they're very strong points. So good argument on both parts. But like I said, I don't have any facts, so I'm just kind of leave it at that. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we'll hear from Allison Taylor, a freshman academy teacher. Let me find you. Allison, are you listed as Allison, or if you're under a phone number, I need to know which number it is. I do not see you. Are you Allie? Can someone read the chat to me if she responds so I don't lose my spot?
She's listed as Allie, A-L-L-I.
It is Allie. Okay, thank you. There you are. Okay, you're unmuted.
Hi, thanks so much. So my name is Allison Taylor. I've been a teacher at Taft for 10 years. I don't want to repeat, a lot of things that have already been said. I do want to thank a lot of the students, especially, for speaking out. Again, I think that some of the data that's already been shared is important to consider. One of my questions I had, Tree actually answered, which was I wanted to know data specific to Taft High School as far as racial discrepancies, because we can see that data throughout CPS and the national. But I also think it's important to know that that's something that we see at Taft as well. So I just want to focus really quick on stuff that hasn't already been said or hasn't been elaborated on. And one of those things I think is about the role of SROs in our building. I want to voice my support for removing SROs from our school. And again, this is not a personal attack. In my 10 years at Taft, I have never had the need to interact with our SROs whatsoever. So this is not a reflection on them as individuals. I think we all agree that we want our schools to be safe. And many people equate SROs with additional safety. But I teach my students to make evidence-based decisions, and evidence does not support that. So there's no data to indicate that police in schools improve students' mental health, educational outcomes, or their safety. In many cases, as adverse effects are shown. So, according to the MOU that is between CPS and CPD, the SROs in our building are not allowed to get involved in school discipline. As has already been said, we have school staff that are trained to address student behavioral concerns. The only role of our SROs is to get involved when a crime has been committed or for a serious imminent safety threat. So if a crime has been committed, we already have people, officers outside of our building that can take care of that. And we've already had comments about how, again, school shootings are not.
Sorry, I had to cut you off there. Thank you. Okay. Next, we have Brenda Nieves. And I think you might be on here as just Brenda or Brenda's iPhone. I'm going to try that one. Okay, Brenda's iPhone is muted, is that right?
Hello, yes.
Okay, great.
First, I'd like to thank Tree for providing the data that he provided, and congratulations on getting admitted into Yale. I'd like to know if you know if any guns have ever been removed by an SRO from Taft in the past 20 years or so, or however long SROs have been at Taft. Also, I just want to share some experiences that I've had. My daughter was a 7th grader last year at the Freshman Academy, and I've gone into the school several times, morning, midday, afternoon, and I've noticed the police officers sitting outside in their cars, on their phones, not patrolling. I've seen cars speeding out of the driveway, out of the parking lot when the kids are leaving school, crossing them in the middle of the street, and the police officers have not gotten out of their cars, have not gotten off their phones. I mean, I don't want to continue to attack them, but if they are not doing their job, then they should be removed. My daughter has said that every single fight that she witnessed at Taft was broken up by a teacher or by a security guard. There was never a police officer involved. So honestly, I don't think that there's a need for them there. They're just sitting around taking up payroll. Thank you.
Just to clarify that question, I don't believe the officers that are in the cars are the officers that we're referring to. Is that correct? I'm going to unmute Mr. Grishay there.
Yes, please.
It may be the officers in the car, but there's also a sergeant that comes around and checks on the SROs. So maybe that sergeant too. I don't know the specific incident. It could be that police officer. It could be just the sergeant that came. I don't know the specific incident though.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, it looks like Prasad is back on, so I'm going to go to him next. So we had to skip him before, and he's under Kumar.
And what is the name? I'm furiously typing.
Prasad Kumar. I'm writing them
Thank
down,
you.
Laura.
Thank you.
Let me find you. Here you are. Okay, Prasad, you're there. Hello, there you go.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak here. Like the other parent that spoke earlier, I'm collecting the data and the facts, and I'm going to take a closer look at the data before I make a decision one way or the other. But as a parent of a freshman student that's joining Taft, I am very interested in knowing more about the security arrangements at the Taft. If it's the police, the SROs, or the security staff that you guys are mentioning, whoever they are, they're all people. They all have their biases, and keeping them or removing them just because they are biased, I don't know if that's going to play out, because I see police as a deterrent, right? I mean, if a police officer sits in the traffic, everybody slows down and follows the rules. Same way at a school, if there's a cop car sitting there, it kind of gives me assurance that teachers and parents and students feel a little safer. I understand the other aspect of it, the Black Lives Matter and other things that are happening in the city, and I'm very sensitive to that. But at the same time, not having a police officer at the school could encourage some other miscreants, some other people to kind of do something that they normally wouldn't dare doing. And that kind of raises the problem of, safety concerns and issues for students and parents and teachers. So I generally lean towards the safety and the precautionary aspects of policing, but I certainly will make up my mind after looking at the facts later. Thank you for the time.
Kathy, I have a question.
Yes.
Because of something a parent had just said, if someone could clarify sort of the level of action in terms of, she said there were fights and the police officers didn't break up the fight, the security guards did. Are the police officers just there for, like, they're not there to stop fights, are they? There's different levels of security, right? So
I'm going to unmute Mr. Grishaber again, or is Kat on? Kat can answer to that. I'm going to unmute both of you. Hold on, let me find Kat.
I want to make sure that we're understanding, where they would step in and where maybe a security guard is supposed to step in.
Yep. I don't see Kat. There she is. Hold on.
Yeah, if I had to leave the room for a second, what was the question? I'm sorry.
Kat's on too. One of the parents just mentioned that her student had told her that the fights that she has seen have been always broken up by security officers, not by the SROs. And we're questioning whether it is the job of the SROs to break up a fight or just respond to something that is more of criminal in nature.
No, if they saw a fight, they would break the fight up. It's not that, that they walk away or that they say that that's not their job. If they were there when a fight did happen, they would break it up. And I would like to think, although I don't have facts, that their mere presence probably avoids a lot of fights, and the kids wouldn't be so quick to throw down or something if there was a police. I don't have data on that, but no, they don't walk away. If their job is to interfere in a crime, and that's a crime. And
So depending on who's in the area of a fight, it could be either a police officer and or a security guard and or a teacher or somebody else.
Yeah, a parent, any adult in the building.
Okay.
And remember, there's only 2 officers per campus, so it's a pretty big area to be in. So, okay. Next, we will go to Jeff Luco, who is a teacher. Let me find you. There you are. Okay, Mr. Luco, you are unmuted.
Hi, thanks. My name is Jeff Luco. Sorry, I was riding an exercise bike while listening. I've been at Taft for 8 years. I'll try to make this quick. Really, I think there is a lot of emotion in the issue. I get emotional thinking about it. Very emotional.
You're really bad breaking up. We can't get what you're saying. Jeff, we're going to have to come back to you because your connection is terrible.
Truth is that schools are for kids.
Jeff, you can't really
Hello?
you can get anything.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay, start over because you were all messed up there. Couldn't hear what you said.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I've been at Taft for 8 years now. I was at the Freshman Academy. I teach 7th grade and 9th grade. And my thing is that school is for kids. And Mr. Wilson mentioned that our demographics are shifting, and the demographics that they're shifting to is heavier Latino. I'm a Mexican American male. My brother's a Black male. We have family history with police in instances where people are treated differently, but I'm not bringing that in. This isn't an indictment on the police. The reality is not everyone that is at Taft sees the police as representing safety. And I think that's something that we need to listen to and we need to hear, because police for all people don't equal safety. And that's really important because schools are not for teachers. It's for the kids. Another thing is just that real quick, the adolescent brain is unable to make rational decisions. So I think just the mere presence of police at schools, statistically and supported by data, increases the likelihood that an arrest will happen. And I didn't get into teaching, so I could witness police arrest students in schools. And I don't think that having them there is in the long term going to have positive effects that can't be had by the staff that's already working there. And with the leadership of Mr. Gershaber and his administration team, I think that Taft could be a leader here in alternatives to policing. And I really hope that we take the chance to do that.
Thank you very much. Where did you go? Okay. Okay. Again, if you'd like to make a comment, please put your name and your representation in the chat box. Next, we have Ninad Markovich, a parent and a retired CPD. Let me find you. And if you just joined us, this meeting is being recorded. We are going to save the chat so the LSC can read through it again after the fact. I don't see Ninad.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
how many more speakers do we have approximately?
I'm just scrolling through. We're ending the meeting at 8 unless we run out of speakers.
It should be Ninad's iPhone.
Oh, there it is. Got it. Okay, Ninad, you are unmuted.
Hello, how are you tonight? Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I retired from Chicago Police last January, and I have a child going to the new Taft Freshman Academy, and I have a incoming senior at the Mr. Gershaber's Taft over by the Expressway. Just a couple of things. And just because I was the police for many years before Chicago, I spent time with the CHA police as well. So I'm not going to go police pro, but I got to tell you, the schools throughout the country that have had people come in and just for that one possibility that that person comes in to try to do harm, like has happened throughout the country in the last few years, that officer being in the lobby. Now, mind you, I think the officer should be in a lobby so they can encounter that individual coming trying to do harm to students or other members of school and eliminate that threat. Because if there's nobody, those security officers do a bang up job, especially the gentleman in the lobby who does the checking in. But I got to tell you, they're not armed. If that armed offender comes into that for that one time, anybody who has a student at that school should think about that. And the LSC should think really when they vote for this, because just that one time, nobody thought that was going to happen elsewhere. And in fact, a school like Taft, which is more like a suburban school, because let's face it, it doesn't usually have the problems like the teachers say, and have said in the last few minutes I've been listening to, that they have in other schools. But I tell you what, the kids on the south and west sides that I've seen and I've worked in the area are much more tougher and less apt for a problem to occur with somebody coming in trying to hurt them than coming into a school like Taft, where you got, like Mr. Gershaber even said once, he likened it much to like a suburban school. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. All right. Okay, next we have Gwen Ashworth. Okay, you are unmuted.
Okay, hi everyone. So I just want to bring up a personal experience. I am a Taft High School alumnus. I graduated this year. So at my time at Taft, I actually, one of my friends, I'm not saying she did the right thing here, but she actually she did drugs and she got really sick. And so I followed her out into the hallway, and obviously we were both not in class. I'm not saying that I was doing the right thing or she was doing the right thing, but that's exactly my point. There were two officers that were walking down the hall, and they just looked at us and walked the other way. And you would think she was on the floor and she looked like she was dying, like she looked ill. And I don't know, this is insane to me, because I would assume that someone would try and do something with something like that. That's all I'm saying. I don't think we were doing the right thing whatsoever. I'm not defending us, but I feel like The police, they should be trained on doing things like this and stepping up when there's stuff like this going on, because she definitely did not look okay.
Did you say anything to the officers?
No, because they were too far away from me, but they were like down the hall from me, and they just looked at us, and I was standing up and she was on the floor, and that was about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do not see any more. Hang on, this is 6 more messages. Let's see if I have any more here. Okay, I do not see any more questions. If I've missed you, please put your name in the chat again right now with your representation. Is there any further discussion points that the LSC would like to bring up, point out?
I just want to clarify something, Madam Chair. You know, I've seen people make comments about how we should take the lead, and ultimately the 33 million needs to go back to CPS. Anybody that's dealt with CPS knows if we give downtown the authority to spend the 33 million, they will mismanage it as they have for decades. This money, 33 million, should be allotted to the schools, because we know we need those social workers. We know what we need at our school, and every school knows what they need for themselves. But if we really plan on allowing CPS, or we think that CPS is going to correctly distribute the saved money from the SROs, I'm telling you, I don't believe it. And I think most of the people who understand the reality of the situation would agree. So we need to be careful. It's not just giving, just say no. It's let's do it right. And if they did what they needed to do 5, 10, 15 years ago, I have a gut feeling that we wouldn't be in this situation today. All right? That's all I have to say for that.
Thank you. Okay, we have John Cohen, teacher, next. Okay, Mr. Cohen, you are unmuted. Oh, maybe not. There you go.
Hello?
Go ahead. Yep, gotcha.
Hi, I'm John Cohen. I'm a teacher at Taft. And I appreciate all of the back and forth this evening. I just want to talk briefly about the survey that was sent out. And just to say that obviously this issue got dumped on us, in the middle of summer. So there was no good time for this survey to happen. But the middle of summer is not a good time for to be giving out a survey to students. Students generally don't check their emails very much during the summer, not their CPS emails at least. So I would ask that we have a resurvey of the students and the parents once we come back, however this vote goes, and that we do revisit this issue throughout the school year. I personally, I have nothing against any of the police officers that I've interacted with at Taft or anywhere else in CPS. I've had no bad interactions with them. But on a larger sociological scale, and having looked at the data and the information that people like Tree and Leanne have put in front of me, I think that a larger sociological point can be made if we as a community take a stand and say that we can find a way, a better way of dealing with disciplinary issues in the school than by criminalizing our students and contributing to the school to prison pipeline. I think that there's another better way. And I think that given especially that we are privileged to be in a community where we don't have some of the issues that other schools have, that makes us a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful laboratory to experiment with a new way. So I think that that's just something that I'd like to see us explore. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you, everybody, for everything that's been said.
Thank you. Okay, let me keep looking here. Don't believe there's anyone else asking to speak. If you're still wanting to speak, please put your name in the chat. And I appreciate everyone's engagement here. I know it's a, oh, here we got one here. It's a tough issue to discuss, and I appreciate everyone sticking in here with us all. Jane Hugh, parent. There you are. Okay, Jane, you're unmuted.
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I posted a comment earlier on, and I have listened to sides of the opinions, and I am pretty much, I don't have a strong opinion either way, but as I said, we have to look at both sides. I looked at Kristen's data, which is very interesting that for the Taft SRO, what have dealt with complaints versus the salary in a way that's very useful information too, because what we think about, like a lot of people talk about defunding police, but what we really try to achieve here, I mean, one of the comment earlier on, they said if there's an incident of some people walked in the school with a weapon, and that one harm, that one incident, that police being there, the presence may deter that, or may do good to the whole community or the school. So this is the risk versus the benefits, and also what we try to achieve. And I think the police officer, if we want to go with keeping the SRO in school, we need to look at how to train them to do a better job and to do more things what they have done in school. And if we want to look at, pulling them out of school, then we have to look at what else we could do to keep the school safer. As some teachers said, Taft has never been not safe environment, which I believe that. I have visited the school and have very good feeling about the school. So are we overusing the resources to do, with the SRO? That's something we have to think about. How we can, if we want to keep SRO, how we can make the most or better use of their efforts, or make use of the resources. And if we don't, and what else we can do to keep the school in a better, safer mode. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right.
Madam Chair, if I may, since no other council members are saying anything, in regards to the chat room, we keep talking about restorative justice. And I just want to point out that when Principal Grishaber came to this school, that was the first time I was even introduced to restorative justice. He has implemented restorative justice. And I know it might not be to a level that some are happy with, but he has tried by bringing in Ms. Heineman and whatnot to continue trying these different approaches. So to be clear, that is what this principal has tried to do when he arrived here. And to think that we don't have any restorative justice going on is just not accurate. And we need to make that clear. There's an ongoing effort by this administration to continue working on restorative justice. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Grishaber or Ms. Hinman, do either of you want to speak on the restorative justice programs at the school? I'm going to unmute you. Where did you go? Right there. And then where did Kat go?
Jackie, I think I'm good at this time. I just wanted to hear from everybody to see the climate, because I mean, we have views on both sides, and we need to make an informed decision. So I'm here just to really listen to everybody.
Okay.
But thank you for that compliment, Goran. I think, and that's just not me, that's everybody. That's our teachers, that's our staff, that's everybody that believes in restorative justice. But I appreciate that, Goran.
And Prince, it wasn't meant to be a compliment. It was meant to be fact-based, right? That's exactly what you did. And thank you, but no need to thank me.
All right, Kat, you're unmuted. Kat is the, Kat, tell me your title, please. No, where'd she go? You're unmuted, but I don't hear you. Kat?
All right, while you try to get around, I have a question.
Yes.
Mr. Grishaber, maybe you can clarify. If the SROs were to be removed, would there be anybody in the school, maybe a security officer or an off-duty police officer acting as security, that would be armed?
They're not supposed to be. You're not supposed to have any guns on the campus at all.
And that includes security, is that correct?
That includes security. Now, we do have one off-duty police officer. I'm not sure, he never has his gun present with him, but I'm not sure whether or not he brings it in. I'm not sure whether or not an off-duty police officer can bring a gun into a school. I thought that they could not, but I'm not sure how that law works, but I know he definitely doesn't walk around with that gun. So, yeah, I mean, that we would have, so no, we would not have a gun on campus that I would know about.
Okay, Kat is unmuted. And we still can't hear her. You're unmuted, but I don't hear you, Kat. Okay. Is there anyone else who has, okay, Ali A would like to speak. Can you please put your representation in the chat? What are you, student, teacher, community? Okay, hold on. Doing my best to keep everybody admitted. Okay, student. Ali A is a student. All right, Ali, go ahead.
Hello.
Yep.
I don't know what to say.
Okay, you don't want to speak? All right, thank you. I don't know what that was. Okay. All right, so LSC, kind of running out of speakers here.
Should we give a rundown of our timeline that we were given by CPS on when the decision and the vote has to be made?
Yes, we just need to schedule another meeting now for to happen before August 14th. And anytime the LSC hosts a meeting, it is an open meeting, except for when we go for the principal evaluation. So that meeting will also be publicized. It's required to be publicized 48 hours ahead of time. And it'll be on our website. It'll be emailed. And I think it'll also be on our social media. Thank you to Mr. Eaton for taking care of that for us. And the agenda will also be physically posted at the school. Okay. Let's see. Okay, thank you. So do we want to call the meeting adjourned? Do we want to wait for some more comments? There are no participants waiting to be entered into the meeting. And I went through the whole list and got all the speakers.
Any members of the local school council care to chime in?
Or I'm going to try Kat one more time. Let's see, where'd she go? Here she is here. All right, Kat, I'm unmuting you.
There's also a question in the chat.
Okay.
From Edna Navarro to everyone. Has the LSC gone through the recent LSC toolkit that was sent to us?
Yes. That was shared on the drive for all the LSC members.
Yes. Regardless in SROs, regardless whether they are in or out, how will the LSC ensure items in the toolkit are addressed?
Well, the toolkit was given to the LSC as a tool, and we were allowed to use it or not use it. So I shared it with the entire LSC, and the reason we're not voting today is there's a lot of information to digest. So that toolkit is available for all of us to use to make our decisions, and we will reconvene to make a new vote.
And speaking as one of the LSC members who went through the toolkit a few times, so far Taft's LSC is following step by step by having this meeting today. By doing that, I've noticed so far that we're doing pretty much everything that's in that toolkit.
Thank you.
I would like to say that I think that even if when we do vote, if we say we continue to have SROs in the school, I think what we need to take away from this is that we need to either foster that relationship better with clearly some students and teachers and such don't agree, to find a way to foster this into a better relationship if we are going to continue to have them in the school. I would like to see us at our security meetings, perhaps add this as maybe one of the things that we continue to monitor throughout the year. So if there are incidents that are coming up, that we continue to reassess as needed. That's what I'd like to see happen coming forward.
I would agree with you, considering, like I said at the beginning of the meeting, we really weren't informed as to what we were voting on.
Sure.
If this is become such an important issue, it is probably a good idea for the LSC to be introduced to the officers and be able to have a dialogue with them. If they're, as long as we can get them to come to a meeting or.
Mr. Schreiner would like to speak. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but
Yep.
I see on the comments that Mr. Schreiner, who's a teacher.
Mhm. Yep, I got him next.
All
Okay.
right, thanks.
All right, let's see. Okay, Mr. Schreiner, let me find you. There you are. Okay, you should be unmuted, Mr. Schreiner.
I didn't mean to
No, you're good.
to speak at an untimely time, but I just wanted to weigh in and say that I've had almost, I think this will be my 7th year at Taft, and I've never had any personal, I've had very few personal interactions with the SROs, but everyone I've had has been extremely professional, perfectly absolutely no problems whatsoever. I have no reason to doubt that they're all very good at their jobs, very well trained. I would like to just, and I'm sure that others have said this, but I would like to speak on behalf of students in my classes who I do think, and they are primarily, I would say, minority students or students from, in some cases, socioeconomically disadvantaged backgrounds, but not always, frankly, and it goes across the board. That in many cases, it does present an impediment to making everybody feel equally at ease. And it might sound almost silly to care about something like feeling at ease, but actually, in an English language arts classroom, it's very important that people feel at ease. That is the reason why I would be in favor of sort of honoring the wishes of those students who have expressed their feelings about the SROs. And I'm sure I'm not the first to say this, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the SROs personally. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what I wanted to say. I think that it has to do with the quality of the education that I can provide for my students. And it has to do with what the emphasis of our time is in the building. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, did you see the comment about Kat?
No.
She called in on her phone, 917 number.
Okay, let me get her. Got it. Kat, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Hey.
Hot dog.
All right.
I apologize. My iPhone is not cooperating today.
Okay.
So there were so many things. I'm not even sure where to start. The first thing is just to mention what restorative practices are for the folks who aren't as familiar as the staff at Taft. And in terms of discipline with students, instead of just punishing them by maybe suspending them or expelling them, we really try to work with them to help them understand the things that they are doing that are not always the best choices, because we want them to learn from their mistakes so they don't keep repeating them. Now, for the majority of our students, that works. Our suspensions are down. The building is in a much better place in terms of culture and climate. So it doesn't always work. We have some kids who really need a lot more support. But we have two SROs currently at the varsity campus who are just phenomenal gentlemen who embrace restorative practices, who are wonderful with the kids, who have gone out of their way to build relationships with the kids. Now, that said, they also don't have a lot to do at Taft because we're very fortunate in that we don't have a lot of crimes that take place other than maybe stolen cell phones, so that somebody needs to be arrested. Really, their job is to be there in case a crime has been committed, and that's when we notify them and they decide what to do after that. Sometimes, like, kids will get into a fight and one parent will want to press charges against the kid who hit their child. So then they would arrest in that case. Most of the time, they don't have a lot to do because things are going well. So yes, they are armed. We do have some retired police, and we do have an off-duty, a full-time police officer who does an off-duty shift for us. And no, they are not supposed to have guns in the building. However, I was always told that, CPS officer is a police officer 24/7. And so I've never known an officer not to have their gun on him. So there may be, and we don't know, I'm not sure. We haven't discussed that. Aside from that, because they are not utilized a lot, and because it's true, they are intimidating to many of our students, and because adolescents don't have brains that are fully formed and they make stupid mistakes a lot, we don't want to criminalize them. They're there to learn. That's what we're trying to teach them, not just academically, but also in terms of their behavior and their choices. So I know that if we vote not to keep our SROs, which I think is the right way to go, because really the money could be spent better elsewhere. I don't know that it would end up back with us, but if we decide to keep them just because then we're going to have 4 more bodies around the building, I don't know that that's sufficient either. I would much rather have mental health counselors, social workers, someone who can do skill building with our kids who are having lots of problems. Because the more we do that, the less crimes will be committed, and then we'll need CPD even less. Now, I just went on and on. Does anyone have questions?
That was very helpful. Thank you. Anybody from the LSC like to follow up on anything on that she just said?
I understand that we're not getting the funds back, so everybody keeps comparing it to I'd rather use the funds or I'd rather have a counselor or a social worker. I think, not to speak on everybody on the LSC, I think we're all in agreement that we would love more teachers, more social workers, more nurses, everything to offer to our kids at Taft. So I think that what we need to take away from this too is that going forward, what can we do as an LSC to support the, getting us more of those additional resources, seeing how it's separate from the funds that we're getting from the SROs.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. It's a big
for that,
Right. That's what I think. We have to take it downtown and say, look, this money could be better spent doing other things. And please refunnel the money into that. So if we vote to keep them, there's no money to even go elsewhere, right? But if we say, no, we don't really need them, then we can say, however, CPS, instead of just applying the money that you're saving to debt service, perhaps we could have another social worker, because currently at our varsity campus, we have 2,600 students and 1 social worker. Not sufficient. And I like the point that someone made that a student is much more likely to have an asthma attack than be shot. But we don't even have a full-time nurse in the building. So that says something. I think it has to be about priorities. And maybe if I were in a different community where there were a lot of violent things happening in the school, maybe I would, think differently. But Taft is a unique school with a lot of amazing kids and a few knuckleheads. And most of those knuckleheads do not need to be arrested.
Well put. Well, I think one of the good things that's coming out of this, while I said at the beginning of the meeting, we're only deciding for Taft right now.
Right.
Discussion is come around and people are engaging. That's fantastic. And I would again recommend that everybody on this call and anybody who wasn't here but wants to participate, get involved. And there's lots of organizations. Raise Your Hand is one. Parents for Teachers is another, that you can become part of a group and you can make your opinions known to CPS, attend their meetings, write your letters, emails. It's great that everybody wants to participate in this conversation. So we really appreciate you guys all being here. There's lots of discussion. Yes, Mr. Gershaber.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing, and just to remind everybody, and I'm reminding the assistant principals on the call, the local school council, I'm reminding Kat, that when this vote takes place, we have work to do. Because what's going to happen is we're going to vote one way or the other, and whichever way we vote, we're going to have a certain amount of students that are going to be not at ease or fearful one way or the other. So we need, our work is not done here. We don't make the vote and we wash our hands and now we start talking about budgeting and the new school year. This has to be something that we have to talk about on an ongoing basis and not drop this ball. This is something we as a school right now have an opportunity to make some change, and I want to be the change agent that other schools are looking at. But right now I just want to remind everybody, and I think everybody knows, but I just want to remind everybody that our work's not done after the vote, that we have some work to help our students, for lack of a better term, like Tom was saying, feel at ease or feel safe, one way or the other, however the vote goes. So I just wanted to say that publicly. Thanks, Kathy. Great meeting.
Thank you, everybody. Okay.
Thank you, Mark. I absolutely agree.
Okay, and I think with that, I think we can ask for a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, question before we adjourn.
Yes, sir.
I think it would be, when would the vote take place?
We have not decided on that date. I'm gonna poll the LSC and find out what works, and I'm gonna guess it's gonna be at least a week. I think we need some time to digest the information. If we want to reach out to anybody that spoke today, or I'm putting my email for the Taft LSC in the chat. Feel free to email that email, and we will, take that information into consideration, and then we will be voting publicly. You just watch the website or your email for the announcement of the date and time. It'll also be virtual.
And just to confirm, there's a question in the chat in regards to surveys. They're asking if new surveys are going to be sent out. That's not the case. Is that correct? We've already done our survey in that part.
At this point, there is no plan to send out an additional survey. Like I said at the beginning of the meeting, we're having this forum right now, and we're going to vote on how we would like to proceed. But we can revisit this issue at any time over the school year and take an additional vote if we feel it's necessary. The Taft LSC elections are going to be held in October, I think.
November,
I think it's November. But I believe that they're going to use the people that have already applied to fill the positions that are opening up. But again, that's all CPS, so we just follow their lead and do what they tell us to do. So.
There's another question.
Yeah.
Yes. There's another question that someone wants to know if the vote will be published and by the name of who.
Can you just review how we will figure out a meeting date and publish it, and the vote will be an open meeting for all people, correct?
Yes.
And the vote will the vote be published then?
Yes.
The results?
Yes.
Okay.
It'll be taken in open session, and so it'll be part of the minutes, and then I'm sure there will be people attending that can publish that for us, or we'll put it part of the minutes and it'll be on the website with all the minutes.
Is the idea
So we do not have to figure out the meeting date time in public. We figure that out with the LSC, and then we post that date and time. So it will be to help as many LSC members attend as possible and vote and make sure we have a quorum, and B, include as many LSC members as possible. Somebody else is saying, I hope that the number of survey responses shared are not the sole pieces of info used to make a decision. No, that is just one part. We set up a Google Drive, and all the information that was provided to us by CPS, by other teachers, by students, by email, all that information was uploaded into a Google Drive that was shared with all the LSC members for their perusal. And as more information comes in, I'll be putting that in there also. So it's all the LSC members have access to all the emails and all the data that has been gathered. I put some of my own stuff in there that I thought was pertinent, and other LSC members are also invited to put their own information in there that they think is pertinent to the conversation.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
discussion on this topic on the day of voting will not take place. Is that what you're telling me?
Nope, we're just going to meet and vote.
Make sure that people are aware of that.
This was the
Not to
opportunity to
expect
have a discussion.
discussion on that day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Again, the email for the Taft LSC is taftlsc@gmail.com. I'll put it in the chat again. Now my email's gonna blow up. I'm just kidding. Send your information. Anita, it's really hard to hear you. Say it again. No, you're very delayed. Can you chat it?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's delayed though, so it's hard to understand you. You're gonna have to chat it.
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Can you put it in the chat, Anita?
Okay, well, let me move out of my room. Hold on.
Edna, the LSC chat, the LSC email is taftlsc@gmail.com. It's been put in the chat several times.
Does it happen anymore?
And Tree, I will take the links that you put in the chat and put them into
No.
if they're not part of your initial email, I will make sure those go into the Google Drive too. Okay, Anita? Okay, Anita says the LSC will need to talk about this before voting. That's what we're doing right now. Okay, so can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
Who was my second?
Maria.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the meeting is adjourned at 7:44. Again, thank you.